Karma is only binding when there is someone who believes they are the doer. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. Karma, not a punishment, but an illusion of voluntary imprisonment. In the subconscious of every person, the belief in karma is a supreme law of justice. What you sow, so shall you reap. Good, evil, blessing, sin, merit, retribution, these pairs of categories have shaped a strict moral universe, where we are constantly afraid of every negative thought, strive to accumulate virtue in the hope of blessings, and are anxious about the burdens from past lives or future lives. In the light of the awakening from Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, that veil of superstition is lifted, revealing a liberating truth. Karma does not bind you. The doer who thinks he is the one who is bound. This is not a denial of the law of cause and effect, but a profound dissection of its nature. Karma, at its core, is simply the natural dynamic flow of cause and effect. It is neither a personal punishment nor a reward. It becomes a shackle only when we assign to it a doer, an imaginary self that is creating the karma. It is this illusion of a doer that is the root of all suffering, the anchor that holds us deep in the endless cycle of samsara. Karma, the flow of impersonality, no reward or punishment. Imagine, you do not feel angry or blame gravity when a cup breaks. Gravity is just a neutral physical law. Similarly, the universe operates without a supreme being to punish or bless. Karma, by its very nature, is pure, neutral energy. It is unemotional, immoral. It is simply the natural consequence of every action. Like a seed planted in the ground will sprout, like the wind blowing through the grass will shake. However, the moment we identify ourselves with the action, when we say, I did it, I will pay the price, I am responsible, then that neutral energy suddenly turns into an invisible whip, lashing straight at the imaginary self, the ego full of attachments. It is not karma that binds you. It is the illusion that I am the doer that creates invisible chains. The enlightened one, not destroying karma, but surpassing the recipient of karma. This is the key to untying all knots. Enlightened beings do not overcome karma with supernatural powers or dissolve karma with mystical rituals. They do not fight or resist karma. Instead, they simply have no one left for karma to cling to. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj uttered a truth that shook and melted all the inherent concepts of cause and effect. When you know that you are not the doer, where is karma to bind you? This question needs to be deeply contemplated. When there is no longer a doer, when the notion of a separate, independent self performing the action dissolves, who will bear the consequences of karma? Enlightenment is not the elimination of karma, but the dissolution of the self that accepts karma. Once the doer is no longer there, the receiver also disappears automatically. And when both these notions dissolve, karma returns to its original nature, a silent, impermanent flow of movement. Action still takes place, but there is no one who acts. Enlightened beings still live fully in the world, still walk, still talk and laugh, still feel the ups and downs. They are hungry when they are hungry, cold when they are cold, and sometimes misunderstood by those who cannot see the truth. Yet, deep within them, there is not a ripple. They do not resist life, nor do they take credit or personal responsibility. They are do-nothings, yet everything happens perfectly, naturally through them. Karma does not stop, but there is no karma bearer. Action continues, but there is no doer. All becomes, life manifests itself, without any ego. The enlightened and how they travel through the river of karma without leaving a trace. Actions happen, but there is no actor. Reactions happen, but there is no reactor. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. They don't erase karma, they quietly withdraw from the game of cause and effect. Humans often try to control every detail of their lives with the haunting questions: how to reap good karma, how to neutralize bad karma, or how to escape the cycle of suffering. But the enlightened are different. They don't try to change the play, nor do they try to erase it. Instead, they quietly leave the stage, disappearing from the role. They don't literally erase karma. He simply ceases to exist as the doer, the receiver, the I entangled in the threads of cause and effect. This disappearance is not an escape, but a complete dissolution into the eternal self, where all concepts of karma become meaningless. They do not avoid pain, they go beyond the sufferer. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj once said with insight, "Pain is a signal. Suffering is identification. Pain is, in essence, a purely biological signal, a natural response of the body. But suffering is a psychological conclusion created by identification. I am the one who is in pain." It is this clinging ego that turns physical sensations into mental burdens. An enlightened being can still feel his body being destroyed, still experience heat, cold, hunger, thirst, and even separation. However, the fundamental difference is that there is no center within them to endure that pain. There is no someone hiding inside to cling to emotions, to create a story about injustice or deprivation. Pain comes like a strange guest, visiting and then quietly leaving, without any host to welcome or hold on to. This non-attachment is peace. They do not resist karma, they blend into the selfless pulse of the universe. We ordinary people tend to react violently to karma. When facing adversity, we beg. When things are favorable, we cling. When faced with injustice, we struggle and resist. We see karma as an opposing force that needs to be conquered or changed. But the enlightened are different. They are like a soft stream flowing through a crevice in a rock. They do not obstruct the flow, nor do they seek to direct it. Instead, they become the flow itself. This non-resistance is not a passive, resigned attitude, but the ultimate weapon of deep integration and understanding. They let karma come, go, dissolve, and transform without leaving any trace of anxiety, fear. The man who is looking for freedom is the man who was never bound. The man who is bearing karma is the man who never existed. The enlightened ones do not seek to escape suffering, because in their wisdom, suffering is inherently just a dream, a construct of the mind. Without a separate I, an illusory ego, karma would not find anyone to bind. They accept things as they are, not as they should be. Our lives are often dominated by constant judgments. This shouldn't be happening, I deserve better, this is unfair. We resist reality when it doesn't fit our expectations or beliefs. But the enlightened ones simply observe and accept events. This acceptance does not come from resignation or weakness, but from a profound non-dualistic insight. They see clearly, everything is happening as it is. They no longer see this and that as separate, but only one manifest flow of reality, and they themselves are an inseparable part of that flow. There is no division between subject and object, between observer and observed. Their every action is not intention, it is the Dharma that manifests itself. Nisargadatta Maharaj asserted, "I do not act. Action happens through me." The sense of doing has disappeared. When the notion of a self exists, every action is accompanied by personal choice, will, and intention. I choose to do this, I act like that, I want to achieve that result. But when you have dissolved into the void of being, action simply happens through you, as naturally as the wind on a lake. No one obstructs, no one directs, no one owns. The enlightened one becomes the living Dharma, a pure expression of reality. How can ordinary people overcome karma like enlightened one? You cannot break karma by action. You can only break it by understanding who you are and who you are not. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj has revealed a path that goes straight to the core of existence. Karma cannot be broken by action, but can only be dissolved when we truly understand our true nature, realizing who we are and who we are not. 1. The beginning, opening the gateway of realization. I am not the doer. The first step, though simple yet with great liberating power, is to practice detachment from the role of doer. Whenever an emotion arises, a thought arises, or an experience comes, stop and ask yourself deeply, who is experiencing this? Who was the I who felt this before this feeling arose and took over my attention? Through this contemplation, you will gradually realize a surprising truth. Anger may be present, but it does not touch the watcher. Sadness may well up, but it cannot take root in your stillness. This is the beginning of liberation, breaking the bond of identification with experiences, not by resisting or acting out, but by gently letting go of the idea of me as the subject of all feelings and actions. 2. The middle stage, selfless action, living fully without attachment. Following the initial recognition, continue your daily life with all your activities and relationships, cooking, working, taking care of your family, meditating, socializing. But practice consciously doing everything as if you are not the doer, but a channel for life to express itself. The words come automatically. It is not me who is choosing each word. The work that needs to be done is done. It is not me who initiates or arranges it. The body functions according to natural laws. There is no one who is controlling each movement. This subtle practice will gradually drain the energy from the ego that clings to action. You begin to live your life as an invisible wind, touching everything, interacting deeply, but without clinging or leaving any trace of ego. 3. The transformation stage. All karma becomes liberating energy. When you let go of resistance to karma, it is no longer a chain that binds, but paradoxically, becomes a key to liberation. A painful event occurs, you do not resist, do not judge, do not identify. And miraculously, the pain seems to dissolve automatically, no longer holding you in misery. An injustice occurs, you do not rush into resistance or resentment. You just observe, and from that quiet observation, a profound wisdom suddenly emerges. Karma does not have to disappear. It needs only to be seen in the light of wisdom, where there is no longer a seer caught in the realm. Every difficult situation, every challenge, now becomes a powerful catalyst, breaking apart the ego-clinging fragments, until only the formless, pure, and perfect knowing remains. 4. The penetration stage, action out of the selfless mind. At this stage, the concept of practice seems redundant. You no longer try to separate yourself from karma. You simply live as the natural light spreads, without any will to control it. The action to be done comes automatically, without any calculation or personal consideration. Ideas arise and disappear, without any grasping or clinging. The words come out naturally, without any direction or arrangement from any self. Sparkles, everything happens from nothingness, where there is no more goal to reach, no more result to expect, and no more identity to affirm. 5. The peak emptiness, no one to overcome, nothing to overcome. At the ultimate point of this insight, all distinctions between good and bad karma disappear. The question how to resolve karma becomes meaningless, because you have completely fallen into the state of no one to bear the burden, the state of absolute egolessness. When there is no longer a person passing through the flow of karma, karma also no longer finds an object to cling to or act on. You are no longer overcoming karma, because the concept of overcoming still implies there is something to overcome and a person to perform that action. Instead, you completely disappear from the reach, from the definition, from the nature of karma. You become the vast space in which karma can naturally arise and dissolve without leaving a trace on your immaculate being. A vivid example of Ramana Maharshi, who is the sufferer. When cancer was eating away at his hands, people asked him, "Do you feel pain?" Ramana simply replied, "There is a body, so there are feelings. But I am not the body." And when those close to him begged him not to leave them, he smiled. "Where to go? I am always here. Karma happens to the body. Pain happens in the feelings. But he was not there to be the center of any happenings. He had withdrawn from the imagined self to merge into the timeless primordial light." Conclusion: enlightenment is not above karma, but above the one who is bound. You are not the one who is trying to overcome karma. You are the knowing nature where karma has never had the right to touch. Nisargadatta Maharaj. Enlightenment is not an achievement achieved after countless good deeds. Enlightenment is not the culmination of your paying off all karma. Enlightenment is the insight that shatters all concepts of who is living, who is doing, who is bearing. It is the silent, motionless, timeless knowing where all actions pass like clouds in the sky without leaving a trace. When there is no one to bear, all karma falls by its own. You do not need to erase karma, because the bearer of karma has never existed. You do not need to be liberated, because the bondage never existed. All you need is to let go. Let go of trying. Let go of knowing that you are letting go. The final crystallization, freedom given by no one. You are a presence that does not come, does not go. You are not born of parents. You are not created by karma. You are not the doer, nor the done. You are emptiness, yet pervading all life. Nisargadatta Maharaj does not teach you to become enlightened. He teaches you to remove the veil that you never were. And when the veil falls, you are no longer someone, but the all in nothing. Om Tat Sat. Namaste.